right. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Let me turn my monitor down. I'm coming out very loudly. All right. Great to see all of you. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. Happy Sukkot, everyone. We'll be able to, after the service, enjoy our Oneg Shabbat out in the sukkah, which is really, really beautiful. The Brotherhood put it together, and it's got some wonderful decorations this year. I'm Rabbi Matt Berger. Welcome to all of you here in the sanctuary, as well as to those of you who are watching the live stream from at home. We're blessed once again to have with us our soloist, Michelle Konigsberg, and down at the piano, as always, Joy Katzen-Guthrie. We're going to begin our prayer with the singing of Or Zaru Alat Sadiq, the words of Psalm 97, that light is sown for the righteous, joy and radiance for the upright. Badonai, Badonai, Vehodu, Lezecher Kodsho, Lezecher Kodsho. Or Zarua, La Tzadiku, So as we would normally do, we would turn to page 2 in our prayer books, but this evening is a Yom Tov, which literally means a good day, but is a festival. So therefore, we will sing our bracha for the candles, not only for Shabbat, which always comes first if there's a festival, and then for the special day as we celebrate Sukkot. And we'll follow that with the Shehechianu, thanking God for allowing us to reach this festival time. I'll invite Michelle to light the candles.
Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
This time we'll offer a prayer of peace. There are many parts of the world from week to week who truly need shalom, the blessing of peace and quiet. And we, of course, think of Ukraine at this time, hoping and praying that all of the soldiers, all of the civilians will be kept from harm's way, and that, God willing, soon and hopefully very soon, there will be peace in the region so that they can begin their rebuilding process. Baruch atah Adonai shomea tefillah. We bless you, God, who listens and hears all of our prayers for peace. On page 24, you'll find the words to Shalom Aleichem, peace be to you, Melachim, messengers of the Most High. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzechem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Continue with words of praise. The Hatzi Kaddish, the half Kaddish found on 26, or right on the screens.
Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yomad divrach chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, bagala, bagala, uv'izman kariv, v'yamiru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mivarach, le'olam u'almei almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yipa'ar v'yidroma v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yitadar, V'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbichata v'nechemata dahamiran be'alma v'yamiru. Amen.
Let's rise now for Shema and its blessings, which begins with the call to prayer. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMivorach. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMivorach. Baruch Adonai HaMivorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMivorach Le'olam Va'ed. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Continue with a prayer for the evening Ma'ariv Arvim, found on page 31. Please join me. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravim. And on the bottom of 33 words of love. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. The more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works in the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We'll sing Open Up Our Eyes together.
Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one, and we will know that you are one. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Feel free to be seated. We'll continue now chanting the words of the Shema. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, mind, and spirit on page 36. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu advarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavcha hayom alevavecha vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shitecha beveitecha uvlechtecha baderech ushokbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot ayadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'aretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. We're going to prepare for a very special version of Mi Chamocha, Who is Like You, or a song of freedom that's only sung during the week of Sukkot, our festival holiday. But before that, on page 39, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we are taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. There is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching ever. We'll go through this twice so you'll be able to hear it for the first time and then hopefully join in the second time that we sing Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai Mi Chamocha Dar B'Kodesh Nora Tehilo Osef Elem Adonai Himlo Leolam Va'ed. Join me. Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai Mi Chamocha Dar Kodesh Nora Tehilo Osef Elem Adonai Himlo Leolam Va'ed. We'll continue now on page 42 with the singing of Hashkivenu, a prayer of shelter. And the prayer actually includes the word Sukkot Shlomecha. Just like our sukkah is a temporary dwelling place of peace, we hope that each and every day we will be protected by God. Let's sing this together.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom Hamidenu Shomrei Nu Lechai Ushmor Seitenu Uvoenu Lechaim Ushalom Le'ata ve'ad olam
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom Hamidenu Shomrei
Eloheinu Lishalom
Hamidenu Shomrei Nu Lechaim Hamidenu Shomrei Nu Lechaim. We'll continue now with our tefillah, our standing prayers, which begin on page 46 with Adonai Sivatai Tiftach, that God will open our lips for praise.
Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Ve'Elohei Avotenu V'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Koneh HaKol V'Zocher Chasevot V'Imahot Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo V'Yahava Melech Ozer Umashiach Umagen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Le'Oshia Morid Atal Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofech Holim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Micha Mocha Ba'al Givurot Umido Melach Melech Memit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua B'ne'emanata lehachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yalu chasela Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Feel free to be seated. Our three blessings, one for Shabbat, one for prayer, and one for Thanksgiving, begin on page 55 as we thank God for the holiness of this day. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat, on the bottom of page 56, that God's presence will always be with us. Baruch atah Adonai Hamachazir Shechinato Litzion, and for gratitude. Baruch atah Adonai Hatov Shimcha Ucha Na'eh Lechodot. And During the festival, we offer a special prayer, Kiddushat Hayom, which is the sanctification of this particular holiday and festival, which is also known as Ya'aleh V'Yavo. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Ya'aleh v'Yavo v'Yizacher Zichronenu. Our God and God of our ancestors, be mindful of your people Israel, and recall our merit for good and grace, and in loving kindness and compassion, for life and peace on this festival of Sukkot. Zochrenu Adonai Eloheinu, bo l'tovah. This day remember us for well-being. Vokdenu vo livracha. This day bless us with your nearness. Vehoshienu vo lechayim. This day help us to a fuller life. And our prayer of peace, the words of Shalom Rav, are found on page 60. Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people forever, for you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel and the world with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael. Shalom. One wonderful song that we can sing during the festival of Sukkot is called Ufros Aleinu, shelter us with your tabernacle of peace. Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot, Sukkot, Shalom Echa. Ufros Aleinu, Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot, Sukkot, Shalom Echa. We'll now take these moments for our prayer of healing, Mishaberach, which you'll find right on the screens, but also in the Sidur, Mishkan Tefillah, in the prayer book on page 253, as we call to mind and to heart individuals in our community and beyond who need strength, who need courage, and who need healing. Tonight we think of Yonatan Ruven Ben Rivka, Charlie Burke, Norma Bloomberg Van Ness, Babs Brown, Manuel Cruz, Evelyn Edelman, Harry Fleisch, Jerry Franklin, John Friedman, Denise Freifeld, Mitchell Freifeld, Sidel Freifeld, Leah Gottlieb, Arnold Miller, Melissa Miller, William Miller, Michael Ranzino, Rabbi Avram Reifer, Kelly Deanna Rain, Gary Rosenberg, Stephanie Ross, Dennis Schulman, Jeff Stark, Jen Swan, Sharon Worster, and Sophia Young. If there are any names that you'd like to add at this time, feel free.
neshama, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So while I officiate at quite a lot of weddings, I believe this is the first Ufruf blessing since I began here at Avat Shalom. An Ufruf blessing, an Ufruf is a Yiddish term meaning calling up. It's the equivalent to an aliyah. And it's my pleasure at this time to invite Ben Hitzig and Anna Reeves. You're going to have to go all the way around in the corner and get a little bit of exercise because we've got our illustrated Torah unrolled before us. And while they're walking up, Steve Koenigsberg, thank you very much, is going to be sharing a bit of candy. I think we even have a couple baskets. Thank you, Mike. But just hold on to the candy, because I'll let you know when it's time to throw it. So they're getting married, Ben and Anna, next Saturday evening, and we're all looking forward to that. Long, long ago, one of the prophets named Jeremiah said the following words. He said, Kol sason v'chol simcha, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride. These very words are actually part of the sixth of the seven blessings called Sheva Brachot in the wedding ceremony. So my blessing to you as you prepare in just about 1 week's time to stand underneath a chuppah, a Jewish wedding ceremony, is that you will know so much joy and happiness in your lives. May the friendship that you have with one another always grow more deeply. May your eyes always see the beauty in the world and the beauty of each other's company, and may your lips always speak words of kindness to one another. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. We say, may God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha. May the light of God's presence, God's panim, always shine brightly before you. And Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God grant you many gifts and blessings throughout your lifetime, most especially a feeling of completeness and peace, what we call shalom. And we'll sing Siman Tov and Mazel Tov, and this is the time where if you have some candy, I think it's like taffy maybe, and some caramel. Bring it on. Siman Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Siman Tov, Siman Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Siman Tov, Siman Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Siman Tov. Yehelanu, 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 Ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Mazel Tov Anna and Mazel Tov Ben. Looking forward to celebrating with you next weekend. You can pick up some candy on your way out, too. Not that you're leaving the sanctuary, on your way down. So tonight I'd like to take you on a little journey through the Torah. Some of you might remember around this time, sometimes on Simchat Torah and sometimes on Sukkot, we'll unroll this wonderful illustrated Torah, all 105 feet of it. And in the last couple years, I went and I kind of looked around, but it was kind of hard for people to see, depending on where I was going and which people were blocking your view. So this year, I decided to the best of my ability, take the pictures and put them right on the screen. First, a little bit about the illustrated Torah. We actually have two of them. This particular one is usually found in the Judaica cabinet, which has many old and wonderful pieces of Judaica in the hallway as you make your way to the sanctuary. And the other one, which is in the wonderful display case, that was donated by the Basuk family in 2013, so a little bit while ago, and then they eventually moved to California. The Israeli artist named Michal Maron, who for many years has worked out of her student in Venice, not the one in Florida, but the one in Italy. She took 4.5 years, believe it or not, to paint, because each of these are paintings, the 54 individual parshiot. A parsha is a single weekly Torah portion. Parshiot is just the plural of the Torah portion. And as you might be able to see, and I invite all of you at the end of services to take a closer look, either before we go out to the sukkah or upon your return, it looks just like a Torah. It's obviously not on parchment, but it's on a canvas-like material that you would find a painting on. And on each of the two sides, you have the Atzei Chaim, or the holy rollers, just like you have the wood, the eights of Chaim, of life, that the Torah in its wisdom is the wellspring of life and blessing. So too these are attached on each end to the Atzei Chaim. What I'd like to do is relatively quickly go through 3 slides or 3 weekly Torah portions for each of the 5 books of Torah. And lo and behold, we'll begin, of course, with Bereshit. I tried to get it as big as possible. What happens is when it goes bigger and bigger and bigger, then the picture quality starts to degrade. So hopefully you can at least see that I have a little pointer. I can't point at 2 things at once. So I'll point right over here. So Bereshit, which just means in a beginning, or some people translate it as in the beginning. You have, there you go, day 1 of creation, Vayor Yiyor, that there was light created, light and darkness, and the separation. On day 2, you have the separation of the sky and the water. On day 3, you have the creation of plants and herbs and all of the fruit trees that we enjoy. Day 4, hopefully you'll be able to see, here's the sun and the moon and the stars, so the luminaries, so to speak, that we speak about in the Ma'ariv Aravim creation prayer. On day 5, here is where you'll find all the birds in the sky and all the fish and different animals in the sea. And on day 6 of creation, some people say the 7 days of creation, but really there are 6 days of creation, and then the 7th day is Shabbat, the day of rest. Here you'll find all of the different land animals, and then of course the culmination of creation, which is people. We're going to now move to the second panel, and this Torah portion you'll see right there is called Vayera, and this shares the story of when God appeared to Abraham and commanded Abraham, as you'll see right here, to offer his son, his favored son, the one that he loves. There are 4 different descriptions of Isaac in the Akedah, or binding of Isaac story. And then up here, just before Abraham was about to wield that knife in not a very good way, the angel of God comes forward and says, Avraham, Avraham, Abraham, Abraham, and then Abraham answers, Hineni, I'm here. And then the angel says, don't hurt the boy, but rather take that ram that's over there, or I think it may be here, that's caught in the thicket, and then offer that ram instead. And Vayera is where we have one of our Rosh Hashanah morning Torah readings. In the third and final slide from the book of Genesis, we have Vayishlach. So you always, sometimes they're on the side, sometimes they're on the top. So Vayishlach is about sending messengers. So this is the story of the 20 plus years after not seeing each other reunion of the twin brothers, Esau, who is just older than Jacob, and then Jacob right there. As you may recall, there were a couple rather large issues between the two twins. The first having to do with the lentil stew and the giving away of the birthright, which was the inheritance. And then the second big issue is the parents' final blessing, which was a very big deal, especially in biblical times. Both of these major issues, Jacob certainly got the upper hand because the trajectory of the Israelites, of the Jewish people, go through Jacob, whose name is Yaakov, which means heel, because Jacob was holding on to, according to the story, Esau's heel when they were both born. And then Esau is the hairy one. So he was hirsute, so to speak. And what you'll see, I believe it's maybe right there, it's kind of hard to see from where I am, the famous dream sequence where Jacob, the night before, he's about to reunite with Esau, and he's really, really nervous and thinking that Esau's going to get back and retaliate against Jacob. He has this dream where he's wrestling something or someone. It's called an Ish, which can either be a man, could be an angel of God, and many people believe it was just Jacob wrestling with himself. Down there, I believe, is as it was getting toward dawn, Jacob wanted to get a special blessing in order to release the malach or the ish, the angel or himself, and then the angel gave Jacob a new name, which means God wrestler, which is Yisrael, or the Jewish people. And then finally, somewhere at the bottom, hard to see from exactly where I am, the two brothers finally reunite. Esau is really warm and welcoming and receptive to Jacob, even asking Jacob if he and the entourage wants to travel with Esau. Jacob ultimately says no, and then they go their separate ways. Now we're going to go to the book of Exodus and the Torah portion called Vayera, which means God speaking to Moses. And here, God says, Moses, I appeared to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as El Shaddai. And now I'm going to give you one of my other names, which is the Yud-He, Vav-He, as you'll see in the Torah. And hopefully you'll see at the top, we've got the first number of plagues, blood in the Nile, frogs, incest, lice. It kind of continues a little bit down there. Cattle disease, locusts, darkness. We'll see in death of the firstborn, we'll see on the very next slide, which is the Torah portion called Bo, which can either mean go or it can mean come, but in this case, it's go because Pharaoh finally lets the people go. And there we'll find the last really bad plagues and the death of the firstborn, really mirroring the Pharaoh's decree of killing the firstborn Israelite children before Moses becomes a leader of the Jewish people. And our final Exodus slide is Bishalach, and this is where at long last Pharaoh's letting the people go, and you'll find the song of the sea. You'll see the horses, they're having some issues in the water, and then the Israelites cheering as they get through the Red Sea, and then Miriam and all the women dancing with the timbrels in her hands, if you remember Debbie Friedman's beautiful Miriam's song. And one of the things that they sing is Mi Chamocha, who is like you, God. So that's the three from Exodus. Now we're going to move right to Leviticus. Dun, dun, dun. That says Shemini. I don't know why it says Shemini there. Go to the next one if you could. There we go. Kiddoshim. Oh, actually, go back to Shemini. There you go. So Shemini means on the 8th day. So after the Israelites created the tabernacle, which is the portable sanctuary with the holy ark that'll eventually make its way to Jerusalem, they've got to set up how they're actually going to do offerings and worship. And they have a 7-day ordination ceremony for all of the Levites. And the 8th day is the first regular day of worship after the consecration. You'll see right, I think, on top some barbecue action going on, and then really a negative thing over here. Two of Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, they offer alien fire, and really closely you can see kind of like there are some people going like this because they don't like the end result of that particular episode, and for good reason. Now we're going to go to Kiddoshim, which means holiness. So if something's kadosh or kiddusha, that's holy, and Kiddoshim just means holiness. And in Kiddoshim, these different pictures are sharing some of the person-to-person mitzvot or sacred obligations that we need to do with each other. So just a few that you might see. First, not gleaning the corners of your fields so that people who are hungry can get some food. Business practices, make sure you use honest weights and measures. One of these is returning a lost animal, so returning lost property, and those are at least 3 of those. Kiddoshim is less of a storyline and more of a listing of the various ways that you can become holy. And our final slide for Leviticus is Emor, which means speak. There's a big palm tree right in the middle, which is really nice. I'm going to talk about the 3 little pictures on the right side of the palm tree, the first of which is talking about the various holidays of the Jewish calendar. So right here, the Passover Seder, which wasn't really mentioned in the Torah, but Michal Maron knows that there is now a Passover Seder. This middle picture has a shofar in here, so the world's greatest announcing tool for Rosh Hashanah. And then down here, the holiday that we're celebrating right now, you have Sukkot, and then people dwelling in the Sukkot, and then holding and raising the 4 species, the lulav, the etrog, the hadass, the myrtle, and the arava, or the willow branches, which you'll see right there. I don't need to point to that right there. And then we'll be able to actually wave when we go into the sukkah. We're now in the book of Numbers. And this is the first Torah portion in the book of Numbers. Bamidbar really has nothing to do with the English word numbers, but has to do with being in the desert wilderness. And in this slide, you'll see the crests, or the symbols and images that go along with each of the 12 tribes. 10 of them are the 10 of the sons of Jacob, and then one of Jacob's kids, Joseph, his two sons are Ephraim and Manasseh, and they're the 11th and 12th tribe. But there's really 13 tribes because the Levite tribe, not counted in the 12 tribes of Israel, they're the ones who do the holy service on behalf of the Israelites. So the Israelites could come forward for various reasons and give food or maybe an animal to offer, but it's really the Levites that offer this directly to God. And then most of the time it's a barbecue and the people eat and enjoy, whereas sometimes the offering is completely burnt to a crisp, and then God smells the reach nichoach, which just means the pleasing odor, I guess if you're not vegetarian. So our next slide in Numbers is a mouthful, B'ha'alotecha, and that means when you raise the lampstand or the menorah. So right here, you can't see it, but underneath that, behind that screen, there's a 7-branch menorah. So this is completely different from the 9-branch menorah for Hanukkah. The word menorah just has the word or in it, or light. But this is the 7th branch, and it's saying this is how you're going to raise that lampstand and then light it to enjoy and use as part of the temple service. And then you'll also see at one of the stops the tents of the Israelites and them gathering for a nice festive meal after a long day of schlepping in the desert. And our final slide is one of my favorite Torah portions, my mom's adult bat mitzvah portion, which is Korach, which is one of the few Torah portions named after a person. And this is a pretty wild picture. And it's wild because Korach and about 250 other followers, they challenged Moses and Aaron, saying, well, every single Israelite is holy, so why are the two of you putting yourselves ahead or above the other people? Moses was displeased. It said he fell on his face. That means he was really embarrassed and not happy. And he said, well, tomorrow we're going to do a little contest and we're going to see what's what. The next day, Moses and Aaron, as well as Korah, give some incense, and God doesn't like one of them. We know Moses and Aaron live beyond this, so Korah and his 250 followers are swallowed up in a giant earthquake. Here's a little bit of fire, too, and that is the end of them. So God clearly was still favoring, not saying that all the Israelites weren't holy, but God had selected Moses and Aaron to lead the Jewish people. So that's Korah. And our final book of the Torah is Devarim, which means matters or words, but it's Deuteronomy, which is based on the word meaning 5 or the 5th book. And here's the namesake slide of Devarim. In the center, and that's pretty much what we're going to look at, there's almost like a relief map of the journey of the Israelites from the Egyptian desert, crossing the Red Sea, and eventually making it to the steppes of Moab, not to be confused with Moab in Utah, which is a beautiful place too, Arches National Park, but this is Moab, the original one, which is on the east side of the Jordan River, namely the country of Jordan. Our second slide in the book of Deuteronomy is Re'eh, which means see. This Torah portion is when Moses, channeling God's voice, is telling the people, see, I give before you right and wrong, goodness and blessing and curse, and your role is in every single situation to try and choose life and blessing. And as you can see, think they're listening with rapt attention, I would say, to Moses as Moses is sharing one of his three major speeches to the Israelites before the end of his life. And the final slide we're going to be looking at is also part of the Yom Kippur morning Torah service, which is Nitzavim, which means you are gathered or you stand this day before God. And this is where, kind of a really neat picture, where all of the Israelites listen to Moses and ratify the Brit, or the covenant, that was made now just about 40 years ago at Mount Sinai, but now they're in Jordan, and the next generation of the Israelites is getting prepared to enter the promised land. And also, right at the bottom, we are looking at a picture of the transfer of leadership from Moses to Joshua in front of all the people. Moses is said to have died at 120 with eyes undimmed and vigor unabated, which means like he was in serious good health and probably could have lived longer, but according to the story, God kind of ends his life there. The rabbis or the sages say that when God allows Moses to ascend Mount Nebo, he's able to see the promised land, but of course not enter the promised land, because it's going to be Joshua and all the 12 tribes plus the Levites, the ones who were 19 years and younger at the time of Mount Sinai. Those are going to be the people who are going to be entering the land of Israel. It's not often I get to use this little tool right here. Joy was saying it'd be great if we had a cat here, because they really like doing stuff like that. But I hope you enjoyed this really quick journey through the weekly Parshiot. And once again, after services, take a closer look, because really each one is a beautiful representation, which not only includes pictures and verses from the Torah, but each panel also includes the relevant Haftarah portion. Haftarah means completion, and it's the section from the Nevi'im, or prophets of the Bible. So there's some selection and verses in each of these panels as well. At this point, we are going to shift gears, going back to our liturgy and the words of Aleinu, the adoration. It's my pleasure to call forward Mandy and Tina Gordon, if you can take the long way around to open the ark. You'll find the words of Aleinu on page 282, and it continues on page 287 when we say, on that day, Adonai will be one, and God's name will be one. Bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. So let's rise now for the singing of Aleinu, and Michelle will lead us as soon as the ark is open. Thank you so much. And get some candy on the way.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula le'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpechot hadam. bayom hahu, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, u'shemo, u'shemo echad.
See? Yeah, it's caramel. It's good. And the other one looks like, oh, they're high chews. Those are really good. High chews. Feel free to be seated. So this next part of the service, 4 times a year, we're asked to have a memorial service where we remember loved ones who are no longer with us. The entirety of the Yizkor part of the service is going to be on the screen, and then once we get to the Mourner's Kaddish, you'll be able to turn to page 294. We'll begin with the singing of Psalm 23.
Adonai roi lo echsar bino te sher yarbitseni al me menuchot
read an updated version of the translation you'll find on the screen. With God as my shepherd, I shall not want. The Eternal makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, restores my soul, guides me in straight paths for the sake of God's name. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You've anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Eternal forever. All of our loved ones live in our broken hearts, and at times that brings a measure of healing. Their acts of kindness and generosity are the inheritance that they leave behind. So we feel their absence, but the beauty of their lives abides among us. As it is said, the name of the one who have died shall not disappear. All of our loved ones' names and all of the memories we cherish with them will endure among us as a blessing. And these are the names from our lips and in our hearts. As we think of members of our congregation as well as their loved ones whose death occurred during this past year. As we remember fondly Raina Abrahams, Phyllis Allman, Richard Baker, Ann Barron, Heidi Blaine, Joel Brettschneider, Marcy Bunn, Stanley Kaplan, Lisa Cargile, Barbara Danis, Eddie Deerfield, Ellie Doff, Sylvia Eisner, Harold Eisner, Augusta Ferreira, Peggy Gerson, David Gordon, Gerald Gottlieb, Paula Hickey, Larry Hilds, Larry Irwin, Bertha Katz, Sally Levy, May Lipensky, Julie A. Manning, Stu Morovsky, Barbara Martini, Alfred Moratelli, Simon Nemzo, Wesley Reeves, Arlene Sanders, Lysel Schick, Sarah Chagrin, Lois Silverberg, Harvey Sussman, Elaine Toodleman, and Margaret Wichman. We'll continue now rising together to offer the special words of El Malay Rachamim. Yes, is there another name? We're going to do that a little bit later. You'll find the words of El Malay Rachamim, God full of compassion, right on the screen.
El Malay Rachamim, Shochen Mamromim, Ametzei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, Im Kedoshim Utehorim, Kezohar Haraki Hamazirim, Et Nishmot Yakireinu Shahachu Leolamim, Baharachamim Yastirehu Beseter Kerefav Leolamim, Veitzror Bitzror Hachaim et Nishmato, Adonai hu nachan latam, ve'yanuach mishalom al mishkavam, v'nomar amen.
Please join me in translation. Merciful God, God Most High, let there be perfect rest for the souls of our loved ones who have gone into eternity. May they find shelter in your presence among the holy and pure, whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold them close to you forever. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May they find a home in you, and may they rest in peace as we say, Amen. Feel free to be seated. We'll now continue with families who are observing the first 30 days of mourning in Shloshim. Father of Russ Ferreira remembers Augusta Ferreira. We mark the yahrzeit anniversary of passing of those who died in this season in years past. As we remember with love, Diana Arditi, Daniel Bandies, Doris Balinson, Evelyn Brindis, Dorothy Patricia Shervitz, Crystalie Costello, Nisim Curiel, Mary Eisenman, Bernice Feinstein, Saul Feidelman, Norman Gottfried, William F. Groon, Jeanette L. Gross, Julius Cades, Paul Katz, David Konigsberg, Paulette Markowitz, Shirley Nassiter, Marie Newman, Peggy Rose, Kitty Rosenstein, Herman Schneider, Louis Seligman, Neil Scheidler, Samuel Schinbaum, Bertha Silverstein, Leonard Simon, Maggie Slaff, Irving Smith, and Erwin Supo. Are there any other names to add for yahrzeit at this time? Thank you. We say, Zichronam Livracha, may the memories of all of these good people continue to be a blessing in our lives as we rise to offer the words of Mourner's Kaddish, words of praise, page 294 together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yamad divrach v'rutev yamlich malchutei, hayechon v'yomechon v'chayed kol beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman kariv imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei almayah, Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, shemei kudusha b'richu, la'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiram v'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, Imru, amen. May the one who causes peace in the heavens cause peace to descend on us, Israel, and the world, as we say, amen.
V'imiru, v'imru, v'imiru, amen. V'imiru, v'imru, v'imru, amen.
Feel free to be seated. You'll find the words to the Kiddush, blessing over the fruit of the vine, on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. Shabbat kodsho b'yava uvratzon hinhilanu, zikaron lemahaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tekilah l'migrahe kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kiddashta, ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Say B'tei Avon, enjoy. All right, just a few brief announcements before our closing song. First, many thanks to Paula Rosoff and Ed, along with Michelle and Joy for leading last week's service in my absence. And of course, many thanks to Michelle and Joy for leading the service this evening for Shabbat and Sukkot. In the back, our tech crew is made up of Mike Skalka and Steve Koenigsberg, who also did double duty as candy passer-outers. Join us next Friday, earlier time. The reason I did Yizkor now instead of on Simchat Torah is we have a number of consecration students who are very, very young who are going to join us on the Bima, sing some songs. I'll give them a special blessing. During next Friday's Simchat Torah, Rejoicing with the Torah service, which begins at 6:30 p.m. So if you come at 7:30, the service will be 2/3 done. So come at 6:30 p.m., and then those little ones will be able to get to bed maybe by 8:30 or something like that. But it should be a lot of fun. It's also the reason why I did the unrolled Israel tour today, because then all the kids would have to go there and there. But the Gordons did a great job doing that. As I said before, our own egg. Great weather. We're going to be outside in the sukkah. And speaking of being under the sukkah, many of you know the drifters under the boardwalk. And long ago, I think Julie Silver, Cantor Julie Silver, did a rendition where she took the musical arrangement and then put some great words to it. And that's what we're going to sing right now. Oh, when the month of Tishrei comes, you know it's true. And the autumn sun beats down and shines on you. Under the sukkah, just wait for me, and we'll spend Sukkot together. That's where we'll be. Can you see the gourds of yellow, gold, and red? Oh, how I love to see cranberries hang above your head. Under the sukkah, just wait for me, and we'll spend Sukkot together. That's where we'll be. Under the sukkah, shake the lulav. Under the sukkah, shake it with the etrog. Under the sukkah, we'll celebrate. Under the sukkah, don't those veggies look great? Under the sukkah, sukkah. Now they say that Jews were wandering deserts dry, but through the roof of their flimsy booth they saw stars in the sky. Under the sukkah, just wait for me, and we'll spend Sukkot together. That's where we'll be. Under the sukkah, shake the lulav. Under the sukkah, shake it with the etrog. Under the sukkah, we'll celebrate. Under the sukkah, don't those veggies look great? Under the sukkah, sukkah. All right, and we'll end our service. That's a fun one. That is a fun one. So we'll end our service with our prayer for health and well-being. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al shmirat hanefesh, for the mitzvah and sacred obligation to protect life. I say, Chag Sukkot Sameach, happy Sukkot, and Shabbat Shalom to all of you. For those in live stream land, we'll see you next Friday at 6:30, and for all of us, let's go out to the sukkah.